Instead of starting, there we go. Hey, everybody, I'd like to thank you for joining us tonight. We are the Geocaching Network, and with us tonight, we have Derek from Behind the Cache. We have Jason, Geocaching with Hailmeister. Jeff with Cache the Line. Yeah, I'm cutting you guys off before you wave. So there's Charles, Pathfinder 33. And Joseph, Sir Drumalot. And myself, Neil Moore from Cache Tales. And tonight we're going to be recapping Geowoodstock. And we're going to do that for a while. And then we're going to talk about what we all have planned for the rest of 2019. And then we're going to take a look at the 2020 events. So if you're joining us, and feel free to ask questions in the chat room. Somebody will read them. I probably won't because I can't do two things at once. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to go until like right around 9:25. We're going to make sure we get cut off. So if you're into watching the geocaching podcast, we want to be able to give you plenty of time to get there. So we're going to get this started. And we're going to, our first question tonight is going to be, considering the communications and promotion of Geowoodstock, what was your initial expectation of the event? Go ahead, Derek.
All right, so just seeing everything coming out, I was really looking forward to it all. I mean, my expectations were set really high first. This is my first mega to actually really be able to go to. So I was really super excited. Could not wait, especially seeing the announcement of the GPS maze. And it's like, oh, hey, there's another icon I can get. So it's just really cool. So, yeah, my expectations with everything going out, and the Crazy Eights did a fantastic job of getting all that promotion and all that out there and raising that expectation and just everybody getting excited. I thought it was just fantastic.
All right, Mr. Hailmeister.
Yes.
What was your initial expectation?
Well, I was thinking about going all the way back to Coney Island when it was announced that Fort Worth was actually going to be hosting. My expectation was, well, everything's bigger in Texas, so this should be Giga too, right? But it didn't turn out to be that way. But beyond that, I had full faith in the committee that they were going to provide a once-in-a-lifetime experience for us event goers, and they delivered.
All right, Mr. Jeff, are you with us?
I'm with you. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that it didn't turn into a Giga. Kind of like Jason said, it's so well organized, and there's so much stuff forward, and everything is bigger, but it wasn't a Giga. So I mean, that wasn't disappointing in itself. The event was really well done, really well organized, a lot of stuff to do. Fort Worth itself was the culture and the tourism and all that stuff. So I thought it was really well done and great. Yeah, it exceeded expectation, even though it wasn't a big.
All right, Charles.
All right, so I'm going to start with the three happy campers' answers to this. They said they were really excited about going to their first Geowoodstock, so our expectations were really high, and after attending, we can say everything exceeded our expectations. And so that is where three happy campers were. As for me, I think I'm one of the rare people in this panel that have attended multiple mega events that have been put on by this committee. Tom Brotherman and Dee are the vice president and president of the Texas Geocaching Association. The TXGA has put on 7 annual mega events, and they've gotten better every year. So when I heard that they were going to be the ones hosting Geowoodstock, I had absolute faith that this thing was going to be a home run out of the park. And then got a phone call asking me to do an Earth Cache class, and some other stuff. I kind of had some behind the scenes stuff and knew that some stuff was going to happen before it was made public, just because of my involvement with some of these people and some of my involvement in the as being part of some of the side stuff that was going on there at Geowoodstock. So I was super excited for it and was ready to get down there and see how they were going to do things. I knew that they pretty much had this kind of handled with the experience of, 7 annual mega events under their belt already. And they put one on every year. And so I thought I was excited to see it. I was excited to see it being indoors. That was a big, huge change. And so, yeah, there we go.
Good. Joseph.
They all said it.
A man of few words.
No. Yeah. Well, I will say this. I don't get to go to very many events, even like the local events. I just don't get to go because they're always on Saturdays, and I work Saturdays. But everything kept rolling out, and I would stay up, and it was just for me. It almost got to the point where it was overwhelming because it was just, this would come out. We're gonna do this. I was just like, oh, I want to do that too. And then this would come out. Oh, I want to do that too, and I want to do this. And it was just so much. And those guys, the Crazy Eights, they had so many things that if you didn't like this aspect of geocaching, well, you've got this, and we like this over here. So there was something for everybody. And for me, I wanted to do everything, and I just, you just can't. You just couldn't do everything. So they did an outstanding job. I honestly feel like it was way better than last year's Geowoodstock. That's just my opinion. Don't step on any toes. But yeah, it was awesome. It like everybody else, it exceeded all my expectations.
Awesome. Right. So I am also answering for Scott No High Videos, Scott Miller, or otherwise known as GSM ×2. So I've got his responses here. For his initial expectation of Geowoodstock 17 was that they did a great job of addressing the issues that were present in Cincinnati. And this is his initial expectation. He was figuring that they would address these issues, and but there would be a number of new issues that would arise. And since the rest of you kind of went on to question number 2 and tacked that on, I will too. But he says he was wrong. This was the best run of the 4 Geowoodstocks that he's attended, and the only complaint that he heard was my name tag didn't correctly identify the number of Geowoodstocks that they had attended. So that's, to him, that's pretty amazing that that's the only complaint he heard. And it looks like Scott was kind of joins the rest of us in saying that his expectations were more than met. For me, my expectation was to, like Jason, when they announced it's going to be in Texas, Texans are going to make everything bigger and better, or try to. And so that was my expectation, was that it would be a bigger event. And in a way it was, even though it wasn't a giga, which it's kind of hard to judge that when you're in attendance, because people are spread out across the land doing either geocaching or doing geo tours or geo art or going to the maze. So people were spread out. So it may not have looked like a huge event as far as attendance goes when you're there, but knowing that everybody's spread out just makes it a huge event. And I guess because I got the Giga previous year, I didn't care if this went Giga or not. But I know there was a lot of people that were hoping it would, so they could get the icon. But I guess my expectation was that like Scott, they would address the issues from even more previous than this, like with registration lines or early check-in, packet pickups, and all these kind of things. And of course, many of you know that I didn't get there when I wanted to get there. But from Saturdays being at the maze and being at Geowoodstock, everything was very smooth and awesome. Jason and I rode together in and got some awesome parking. We weren't even sure we were in the right place, but it was like go in, park, walk up the steps, you're in. So that was nice. And the air conditioning, that was awesome. So that in itself kind of blew away my expectations. But yeah, it was a great event. And I look at Geowoodstock now as more than just the Saturday. I look at Geowoodstock, these big mega events, to be more of a long weekend type of an event. Even though you only log one day, it's 3 or 4 days. And so that's what I like. So since we've all answered question number 2, number 3, what was your favorite part of the week or weekend or the day, whatever part of that whole event thing is? What was your favorite part? Go ahead, Derek.
All right. Well, it's being with you guys, of course. Just being with everybody and getting to meet everybody. Just all of us coming together for one purpose, and just all of us just having fun and just being there. I mean, that was the thing. I mean, we're all there to have fun. Nobody cared backgrounds or anything else. We're just there to go caching, to hang out, to talk, to tell stories, just to find our one reason why we cache. And that's for me, it's not just finding the cache, but meeting the other cachers. I mean, that's what my whole channel is about, is meeting the cache owners and finding these really interesting caches and finding, hey, you have that story. Well, you know what? I'm putting that on my list of where I want to go cache next time. And that to me, that was the biggest thing. All the different events and just getting to hang out and just talk to people. That was the biggest thing for me and the best part for it.
Great. Jason.
Well, that's a pretty tough call for me. I mean, there's so many different things to choose from. But I have to say the chance to see and explore a place and a culture that I'd never been to before. Like Tom was just saying in the chat room, I had never seen longhorn cattle before in person. I had never been to the infield of a NASCAR racetrack before. I had never witnessed the vastness of the cattle ranches along the dirt back roads of Texas before. And I got to see a couple road runners. I was out there caching as well too, so that was pretty cool. I got my picture taken while I was standing in a cotton field. I mean, that's pretty cool. You don't have that around here. So, but beyond those experiences, I really enjoyed connecting with the people that are on this panel and others that couldn't make it tonight. Some of them for the first time. The GeoVloggers Summit, which was the day after Geowoodstock, was a great bonding experience. And it was a wonderful opportunity to escape the hustle and bustle of the event and just goof around and hang out with each other, just have lunch and everything. So those are my favorite parts of the weekend and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun.
Jeff.
Well, I got to miss the cattle drive, and then I got to see a cattle drive. Like you were saying, there's a whole bunch of stuff just in Fort Worth to do. But I kind of found that when I went there, I wasn't actually going there, at least to the main event and the vicinity, to find geocaches. Like I went there, and I think I might have found 1 or 2 caches. Everything else was a couple of main events and maybe a side event. Even then, like I wasn't like there was so many events and things to do, and there was just not enough time, not enough money to do all that stuff, and so I just had to try to pick out the important things, and that was Geowoodstock, the main event, and the GeoVlogger stuff. So it was really fun, and I think the best part, again, like you said, was meeting people, and that really was why I was there, to hang out and catch up with the other vloggers and to meet people who are community, like the people who watch our videos, who chat on social media, all that stuff. So I mean, and that's the way I kind of see that anyway, because it's a once a year event, and geocaching we can do all year long, right? It's like this is an event, and we're here really because it's a gathering of people. So that's really where my focus was. All of my caching I did on the road trip to and from Woodstock.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, people, all about the people.
Charles.
All right, so for Three Happy Campers, they said, of course, the Vlogger Summit was our favorite, but a close second was the meet and greet that the vloggers hosted after the vlogger panel. We really enjoyed the exposure that the GCNW received at the main event. And then, as for me, it was part of it was being able to be a part of the Woodstock experience, teaching a class there. But I think probably one of my favorite things besides hanging out with the crew there was I finally got recognized by people who watch my videos. At last year's event, I hadn't been actively vlogging for very long. And so I didn't have that exposure out there. This year I ran into people from all over that recognized me, that watched my videos, that I see comments on my videos. And that was kind of neat to be recognized and like, hey, you do those videos I watch. And that was kind of a neat experience to have for the first time at a big mega event like this.
All right. Joseph.
Well, besides the obviousness of hanging out with all of you guys again, and then meeting the other vloggers that I had yet to meet, there's three things about my whole weekend that stand out. Very similarly to Charles, I was just walking around the main floor, and another geocacher that goes by the name Quinster212, if she's watching, she recognized me, and that was the first time I'd had that happen. And I probably blushed a little, and so much I was actually interviewing her. And when I get home to check all of my footage, I must not have hit record. And
no!
Which I did apologize to her. I contacted her and I apologized and everything. I sent her a drumstick, but that was really cool. And it happened a couple of times during the day. So, but that first time is the one that sticks out. Secondly, would be when I got with Love from Geocaching Headquarters and got my GCHQ Appreciation tag back. That was awesome for me. I love trackables, and I've got, I don't know, like 40 out there, and this is the first one that's completed its mission, and it only took it like 2.5 or 3 months.
Nice.
So, and then to get it back, from a person that I, sent it out for, that was really cool for me. And then the third thing would be, I didn't get to do as much caching the day before the big event because of my little, I'm not going to get into the earth cache business, but yeah, that was a sad situation. But
that was a killer earth cache.
Look, guys, I really just kind of slapped that video together because I didn't have enough footage, because I really thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I mean, like, dead serious. I really thought I was going to be in the hospital that night. But anyway, so on the way home, I actually stopped by the grassy knoll, which I know I know Hellmeister stopped by there, and I know a few other people did. But that was one of the main things I wanted to do while I was in that area. I've always had a mild fascination with those events. I'm not a history buff, but I appreciate everything, and so I was only there for maybe 20 minutes, and just the aura that I got from all the people visiting that spot, that was amazing for me to visit that spot. So yeah, there you go.
All right. Yeah, I wanted to get there, but we just didn't have the time. But so reading Scott had a very short answer. His favorite part was talking to a lot of people, including many of the GCNW members. And I guess I'm going to make that one of mine too. And I mentioned it to you guys in our private page, our secret society. But going to Geowoodstock, that whole weekend thing is, for me, is kind of like summer camp. And you're going back, and you're going to see people that you saw or met the year before, and you're going to be able to spend a little time with them. And that's really any event that I go to. It's about getting to see the people, the friends that you only see once a year or once every 3 months or whatever the event is. But I guess my favorite part of the day, of the actual day event, was meeting different people that watch the videos and being able to say thank you to them in person. Of course, it was another favorite was watching Bob Billy ride the bucking bronc bull thing. That he did an awesome job on that.
Yeah, that was funny. That was great.
And but I guess for me, it's always the people. That morning before we headed out for the maze, I went to get Tombstone. And so I was out there at like 7 a.m. Going out to get Tombstone, and just met up. There was an older gentleman from Pennsylvania, and so I chatted with him as we walked out. And man, he was probably in his upper 60s, maybe 70. So of course I pushed him into the brush to make him bushwhack in for me, and he did a good job. I couldn't even keep up with him. But then coming out, then I meet more geocachers that are going in, and so I stop. And when you got the camera, it kind of gives you a reason to stop and talk to somebody, and they tend to brighten up a little bit. So it's fun to talk to people and find out where they're from, what their goals are, how long they've been doing it, what they enjoy about it. And you never meet these people ever before, and when you meet them and you start talking, it's like your friends, and you have that commonality that just kind of binds you. And so you think, okay, next year, if they go to Geowoodstock next year and I see them, they're going to be like, hey, I know you, we talked over at Tombstone and whatever. So that's really my favorite part, is just the connections you make. Of course, eating chicken and mashed potatoes at Babe's, and barbecue, you can't go wrong there either.
No.
Don't forget Whataburger.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That I ordered the double. Jason got the single, I got the double, and I got the double for my wife. And she's like, she got down to like the last quarter of the burger and looked at me, and I'm like, I am not finishing that. I can barely finish mine. Yeah. So I did have a question for Charles. You said that you had people come up to you and say they recognize you from your videos. Now you do more periscoping really than actual videos. Do you have a lot of people that recognize you from the periscoping?
Probably. I do. The couple of cachers that came up and actually talked to me about it said that they recognized me from my YouTube videos. And of course, in each one of my Periscope videos, I plug my YouTube channel. So it kind of works out that way for me. But they were cachers who had watched and commented on a couple of my videos. I had one that I went around after the Texas mega event that I went to early in March, and on my way home, stopped and filmed the top 10 most favorited geocaches in Fort Worth. That video got a lot of publicity. The Crazy 8 published it on the Facebook page for the event and whatnot. So it was neat to see the people who had commented on there. And some of those people had found, one of those people was the one that found me at the event. And they told me that they would have never kind of sought out some of these caches had it not been for the video that I published. It's a longer video, but it had 10 really good, highly favorited caches in it. And it was funny because the person said that they had watched that video, wouldn't have necessarily gone to some of those caches that I highlighted in the video, but did because of that. And they had noticed the favorite point changes in some of these caches from when I published the video, 2 months prior to Woodstock to the day of Woodstock, how many favorite points these caches, because the number one cache on there had like 96 favorite points. And by the end of the Woodstock weekend, that cache went from like 96 favorite points to 200 and something.
Wow.
And so, and a couple of the cache owners have sent me messages saying, hey, thank you for highlighting my cache. Thank you for this, and so it's nice to see that the cache owners that are highlighted in some of the videos that I've done, had thanked me because of kind of the publicity they had gotten for their cache and how many people had actually gone and left them favorite points on their caches. And it's kind of neat to see where that top 10 video lays out now from prior to Woodstock to after Woodstock. So at least a couple of them recognized me straight up from my YouTube channel. But probably I know a good number of the people who watch me on Periscope, and I've got that interaction with them on that platform. So it's kind of fun to have be recognized for both of those platforms at the event.
Yeah, and that whole people going to these caches. I mean, isn't that why? I mean, partly isn't that why we all do what we do, is to give exposure to caches that need to be found or, deserve more favorite points or whatever. I mean, that's why we expose those caches, really.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, it's, if you take me to a phenomenal location or your cache is just outright a home run geocache, you've spent, considerable time and effort into creating it, I'm going to share it. And hopefully people who watch my videos, will go and enjoy the experience of those locations and those caches as well.
Right. Yeah.
Hopefully the owner will allow it and like it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we all know that Derek doesn't do anything to expose caches.
No.
And,
No, not at all. I've never had any problem about getting permission with those caches. I mean, they're right there with me, so.
Yeah. I know, usually when I ask, even on the gadget cache, if I ask the CO, hey, do you mind if I show your cache in a video? They never hesitate. No, go ahead. That'd be great. And so, all right. So,
well, as another example, the Gadget Cache Geo Tour that was just launched, a whole bunch of those, I think all of them are actually West Virginia, Tim, and he is a little more conscientious about what of his geocaches are shown. So like our videos that are going to come from GeoTour are going to be heavily censored, to say the least, because he likes to have that surprise, right? He likes people to come to his caches and not know what to expect necessarily beyond what he describes in the description. So
Right.
it's understandable.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So moving on to question number 4. Anything you would have liked to have seen happen or to go differently?
Wow. Okay. So I would say more time. There was so much stuff going on. It was just, and we had to pick and choose. I mean, I spent a lot of time at the maze, but I would have loved to have been able to do some of the other caches. I mean, I really did not even get the cache until actually Sunday with everybody. And that was, I would have wished I would have had more time to go do some more of the stuff around the area. And that's just probably poor planning on myself, and just that there was just so much to do and just trying to get to be able to do more. That would be the only thing I would change personally.
Jason.
Yeah, well, Derek, he took my answer.
Sorry.
I wish I could have stayed longer. You know, I wish I had gone outside and taken pictures of the big GeoWoodstock sign in the yard.
Yeah.
I've done that for the past other 5 GeoWoodstocks I've been to, but I just kind of totally missed it on this one.
Yeah.
And although I do have one thing that I wish was different about the event, and this is probably my fault versus the event planner's fault or anything, that I wish they had served food a little bit longer, because I had a meal ticket that was donated to me by a viewer, and by the time I got around to wanting to use it, everybody had packed up and left. So I was like, darn. But so I went to the concession stand instead that was there, and I was able to eat something. But other than that, I mean, that's not bad. That's my only gripe.
Yeah. Jeff.
One thing that I wish could be different, that everything was free. Because there's so many things to do, and the one thing that I really would have loved to do would have been to drive the NASCAR around the track, to take those lessons and do that. I really wanted to do that. That was like $600 Canadian. It was just so much. But like, yeah, I mean, events and special locations and attractions and stuff, gas, so many things. Just if I had more money, or if it was free, it would make probably the whole thing so much better. But yeah, it's hard to. I mean, things that people can control and make better. I don't know if there really is anything. I'm not too focused on. Oh, I wanted to do this, but I couldn't because somebody didn't do something right. Like, it flowed really well, and I kind of just flow with it. So I really enjoyed it. I don't think there was anything that I would have wanted to see done differently specifically.
All right. Charles.
All right. So for the 3 happy campers, they answered this question backwards, I have a feeling, because everything they put on this is very positive. The format of the main event was great. Loved the workshops, the vlogger/podcast panel, the fact that it was indoors, parking was not a problem, and in general, everyone looked like they were enjoying the day. Something that we also noticed was how wonderful the people of Fort Worth were. Our hotel staff and waiters/waitresses at the restaurants were frequented, so they were accommodating to them. So that is what their answer for question number 4 was.
That works. We understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, no. That, we kind of have been through this a few times, that we knew, kind of how to, the Crazy 8 kind of knew how to handle things, and so for me, they met all of my expectations for the event, and they know that, And so I don't think that for the size of event that it was and the venue that we had, I don't think there probably could have been anything much better done from my perspective.
Joseph.
I don't think I would. There's only one thing that just really bothered me about the whole event, and it came in the form of my drink cup with my meal. There was no sweet tea in Texas.
Yes, that's right.
I mean, I know not everybody likes sweet tea, but I mean,
Jeff,
when you're in
Joseph, that's just tea. If it's not sweet tea, it's dirty water. I mean,
that's exactly right.
Iced tea.
I'm
is
still in a
sweet.
deep southern state. That's disturbing to me. So, but no, look, serious. That really did boggle my mind. But no, I don't think I would have changed anything. Yeah, sure, it would have been nice to have more time, more money to do everything. But man, that's the second big event that I've been to, and it wipes out the first one completely. It was awesome. Kudos to Crazy Apes, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Scott, answering for Scott No High Videos. He had a very minor complaint, and it wasn't really with the event. It's severely directed towards Joseph because he was in charge of the ammo cans.
Uh-oh.
But not that. He said he provided materials for 3 ammo cans, but more showed up.
Yeah.
And he only mentions that because we asked. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have when you have too much stuff to give away.
Yep.
So, excuse me. As for myself, anything that I would like to see happen or go differently, I wish that Bob Billy could have stayed on the bowl a little bit longer, but that's about it. The whole event, the whole weekend, and again, I didn't get to experience it the way I had planned. So I guess that's what I wish would have went differently, is no car problems. But the whole event just seemed to go flawlessly and to go well. This was my 3rd Geowoodstock. I went to the one in North Carolina. And I'm not saying the other ones were bad. I don't have any complaints of any of them. When you have volunteer people doing work that they don't get paid for, doing that much work for that many people, if the worst thing you can complain about is that your t-shirt was the wrong size or that you didn't have sugar in your tea, then you have some more serious issues to deal with than to bash the volunteers on Facebook or wherever. So first of all, I applaud any team that does any kind of event planning and to pull it off. But there was nothing that I thought was bad or horrible or even warranted a complaint. So it's 8:39, and according to my schedule, we're going to move on to the year 2020. And we've been joined. I've asked Jay Kennedy, Land Monkey, to join us. So welcome, Jay.
Hello, welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of go into what we have as individual people, what you have planned for the rest of 2019. Just kind of briefly go over what you have planned, what your goals might be. Take a few minutes to talk about that. And again, we'll just go right down the line. Jay slammed right into the middle, so we're going to split up Jeff. And it looks like Jeff's not driving anymore.
Woohoo!
So
you got a rest stop?
good.
I'm at my office.
Oh.
Yeah, he's in the restroom, sitting in the 3rd stall.
And on
So,
Wi-Fi.
I was wondering who was beside me. Okay.
just don't put your foot underneath the stall wall. So we're going to start with Derek here. Derek, just let us know what your plans for the rest of 2019 are, and any goals you might have.
All right, so going caching in Rome, Georgia. Already got my not reservation, but already got my ship that we're going to be on. We're going to be on the same. Looks like we're going to be doing the same ship as the 3 Happy Campers. So we're going to be hanging out doing those caches. It looks like. Also, what am I? So just trying to do as much caching as I can. Doing as much events, seeing as many people, talking to a lot of people. Biggest thing is how I'm going to probably finish out 2019. I don't know if we're getting to this a little bit later, but I set a goal for myself to get to 1,000 caches this year. So I have 398 more to go this to finish up, and I know that's why a lot of events. I'm looking forward to hitting those events, and probably going to end up closing out Charleston area pretty soon, just by getting those. So, but yeah, so got to expand.
Awesome. Jason.
I'll be at Midwest Geobash at the end of July, and I'm looking forward to the laid-back atmosphere that event provides. I got a few people here on the panel that'll be with me as well too, so that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah. For the start of 2020, I'm hoping that I can finish my Jasmer grid. I got one more to go, and the closest one is in northern Michigan. So I don't know. I might be swinging by to old Bob Billy's house there for a chili cook-off / Jasmer filling weekend.
Yeah,
Never know.
You go.
Never know.
Yeah. All right, Jeff.
Well, let's see. We've got Midwest Geobash is coming up, so that's going to be my first. So that'll be nice to hop back down to the U.S. again, and then camp out with the guys. And then we've got the LNA Mega event coming up in August, I think it was. I think that one's going to be pretty big again this year. The advertising is getting out there, and people are coming out. So, and I've got a virtual that I've got to finish, which is going to be in that vicinity, which means that there's hopefully going to be a lot of people out to hopefully get that virtual and enjoy that one. There's probably a couple of other events coming up, but I think that's pretty much the big stuff for this year. All of my major challenges kind of completed, and I'm 2 caches away from a triple Jasmer, and 1 cache away from 30 fizzies. That's the highest challenge in Ontario, is 30 fizzy grids. But when it comes to next year, well, okay, so Ontario has tons of power trails and river, like paddle and float trails on the water. So high terrains, high difficulty, challenge trails, tons of challenge trails with like 5 difficulties. So a whole bunch of full grids you can get just by these caches. Next year, I think the biggest thing I'd be looking forward to is Geowoodstock and BC. That's the 20-year anniversary, and especially getting to the 8 mega as well, because I did manage to get the 8 cache while it was still a traditional cache tier before they brought the icon back. So I'm going to look forward to finally getting to a real 8 mega and not an 8 mega event. I was at an 8 mega event. Getting to the 8 mega event and getting the actual 8 cache again. But yeah, I mean, that itself is a great hike. I love going through the Snoqualmie Tunnel, the 5 kilometers or 2.5 miles or something like that. I can't remember how long it is. Some huge length, but it's always fun, especially on the mega with everybody going back and forth and lights and all the couple of caches that are in there and everything. So I think that's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to.
All right, cool. Jay, I know you got lots of goals for the year, but personally, as you go out and about, what do you got planned for 2019?
So, handful of things for 2019. We're going to be, Jeff was talking about Going Ape. We're going to be going to the Going Ape 2019, which will be the 10th anniversary for the Going Ape event. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a lot of fun. But before we get there, we've got another fun mega that happens out here in the West that you guys probably never even heard about, but it's the Tri-Cities GeoCoin Challenge. And it's a load of fun. It's down in the southeast Washington state. So we've been going there for the last 4 or 5 years, and we're looking forward to doing that again. You end up getting a beautiful coin. They always do a really super creative coin. They have lots of creative caches they hide for it. And we're going to do some power trailing with that one this year as well. So going down with some friends, going to have a good time. Then personal goals. I'm targeting, I should be able to hit 500 Earth cache finds this year. Not
Good
all
for you.
year, but lifetime. But yeah, so I think I'm only about a dozen Earth caches away from that. So that's a goal. And what else have we got going on? We're going to try and finish the Gold Country Geo Tour, which is 150 caches in that Geo Tour. About half of them are on the tops of mountains, so it takes a really long time to get it. But I'm looking forward to getting that one done. And what else? I guess the other thing is we're looking forward to in 2020. Well, besides the obvious stuff, I'm looking forward to in 2020, which I won't bring up at this point in time because everybody's sick of hearing it. But
we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So.
Okay, perfect. What we are doing is in the very beginning of 2020, we're doing a Caribbean cruise with the Land Sharks again. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. All right, Charles.
All right, so here is the 3 Happy Campers 2019/2020 stuff. They're going to be traveling up the New England coast up to Quebec City in September. Lots of ports that they'll be caching at. They're going to host another GIF event in their hometown. They're hoping to put together some kind of get-together for vloggers who are attending the Going Caching Mega event in October. And then for 2020, they're hosting an event in February to welcome Dave and Karen Cache Canada and their friends to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and hoping to attend Mingo Madness and for sure attending the 20th anniversary and Geowoodstock in British Columbia. As for me, I'm looking forward to getting back down to Colorado. I'm going to be hosting a geocaching Jeep Jamboree event. Ouray, Colorado is the unofficial center of the world for it's the Jeep capital of the world, the unofficial Jeep capital of the world. I've picked up about 40 original Jeep Travel Bug over the last 2 years. We're going to be hosting an event and then hopefully going up into the mountains to drop some of these Jeep Travel Bugs off into some of the caches up in the mountains that we have down there, anywhere between 10,500 feet up to 13,200 feet. So that is the goal for that event. I'm going to be hosting a GIF event as well. And then I have family that lives in Walla Walla. And as previously mentioned, I'm going to try to next weekend sneak out to Walla Walla to attend the Tri-Cities mega event that is hosted down there, since I have a free place to stay. For
I think Jay wants you to stay with him.
For 2020, it's I'm looking forward to Geowoodstock, the 20th anniversary. I've got family who lives in Walla Walla, Washington, which is southeast Washington. I have family that lives in Spokane, and I have family that lives out on the San Juan Islands. And so my goal in 2020 is to complete the Idaho, Washington, and Oregon county challenges in and around the Geowoodstock 20th anniversary event, getting my first caches up in British Columbia, And then for my 5th wedding anniversary, next May and June, me and my wife are taking a 4-week vacation to Europe, and we're doing two-week cruises back to back out of Barcelona, Spain. And so we're going to visit Spain, Italy, Montenegro, Malta, which has a souvenir for Malta. It's a tiny island. We're going to visit Sicily. We're trying to talk Lampy, geocaching with Lampy Yannick, into picking us up if we fly into Paris, France, and picking us up and driving us through France down to Spain and dropping us off at the cruise ship. The cruise ship on the way back, we're going to take a transatlantic. So we're going to stop in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and Dave and Karen, Cache Canada, both informed me when we were at Woodstock that the oldest cache in Canada is there in Halifax.
Yep.
We're right outside of town. And so our goal in our one port stop in Halifax is to get that oldest cache. And then we'll come into New York Harbor at like 4 a.m. a day or two later, and float past the Statue of Liberty, all lit up at night. So that'll be cool. We're going to try and get some New England caches up there, since those are the states that we haven't cached in. And then she got one of the virtual rewards. And so we are actively looking for a good place to put her virtual reward. So we'll see. That's another one of the tasks before this time next year.
All right. Okay, Joseph, how can you top that?
Is he even done? Well, let's see. Family vacations coming up, and we should be going to a place where some other vloggers live. So hopefully I can work something out and squeeze in a little geocaching time with them. We'll just have to see. I am planning on going to GeoCoin Fest down in Houma, Louisiana in September. Love going down to Houma. It's an awesome place to visit. Hopefully I'll be able to make that. As far as personal goals, I guess, I'm really hitting my Jasmer grid as hard as I can, Not a lot of old caches around where I live, but at the start of 2019, and I'm not counting the months in 2019, but I had 75 blank spots. Okay, I've got it down to 47. So hopefully by the end of the year, I'll have it down to about at least 20 or less. So that's something I'm working on hard, and then hopefully I'll meet my goal of hitting 1,500 before the end of the year. Plans for next year, probably not going to be doing a whole lot, taking the kids to Disney World, and that just pretty much eats up any kind of travel budget, but you never know. We'll have to see.
All right. So here's Scott Nohai's plans for finishing off the year. Plans on going caching as an attendee. No involvement with the GCNW in that trip. He's going just to interact with other cachers and enjoy the event. He's also planning on hosting a California-Michigan connection event, which he's done the last 3 years. He lives in California, but he's got kids that live here in Michigan, about a half hour south of where I live. And so he has an event, and that's how we met for the first time a couple years ago. But he says, I will coordinate with the local GCNW members to see how I could accommodate as many as possible. So I'm thinking he'd like to meet up with me, and if Cache Canada can make the 4 or 5 hour drive, maybe, or if Jason wants to make the 6 hour drive, whatever. So that's on his list. And the goal for this year is to finish his Jasmer by getting the 3 months that he needs to fill it when he visits Michigan. So I'm assuming he needs the Geocache 612 and Power Island. And if he comes in September, that will be a cold boat ride out to the island. But he's also going to continue to have fun hiking, geocaching, and making videos. For his plans for 2020, he's got 2 plans, a plan A and a plan B. The first plan is to fly to Seattle on Friday, attend the 20th in going ape, then getting Idaho, Montana, and Alberta, and then going to GeoWoodstock 18 and any events related to that. Plan B is to fly to Seattle on Tuesday, attend 20th anniversary and any events on Wednesday through Saturday, going ape, and then he hasn't given much thought beyond that. So for me, 2019, Midwest Geobash, this will be my 7th year going to that mega event. And it, first couple 3 years I day tripped. And then we started going and camping for a long weekend, and that event is a must do with camping. It might be or a hotel. It's gotten into the 90-degree temperatures a couple times, but it's a lot of fun. I'll be there camping with a bunch of friends from my local area here. We call it the 616. That's our area code. And we're going to be joined by some out-of-towners by the name of Geocaching with Hellmeister, Cache Canada, Cache the Line, Geo Trails, and I think I've wrangled in another prospective GCNW member, DPAC 5. You may have seen her videos recently. So they live in Indiana, just north of Fort Wayne, I believe, and they're going to come over and at least for a day trip. So there's that, and then just kind of coasting through the rest of the year. I am a representative of the Michigan Geocachers organization, and we just released our Geo Tour for the Michigan State Parks 100th Centennial, 100 caches in the state, throughout the state. So I'm done. I'm glad I'm done hiding. I had 3 caches to hide, and that was quite a process. So I'm glad that's done. Now the caches are out for 3 years. But I'm also planning our statewide event, which is our winter social in February. We've dove into that yesterday, and the chair on that. So lots of planning. Nothing as big as what Jay's getting into, but I told our VP, I gave him a little report, and I said, from what we experienced at GeoWoodstock in Texas, I'm kind of using that as a guide to what we do for our winter social. So hopefully, even if I can pull that off in 1/10 of the scale, I'm going to consider that a success. So that's my plan. And then for 2020, seriously, I'm looking for a part-time job so that I can save up some money, because I want to fly into Seattle on Friday, drive down to Oregon, Portland area, do the oldest cache in Oregon, get the plaque, drive back to Seattle for Saturday's event, Sunday doing the going ape, Monday we'll have our GCNW summit. Hopefully that's just starting to kind of mold that a little bit now. Tuesday, my plan, and this is why I'm getting the part-time job, Tuesday is to fly out of Seattle up to Juneau, Alaska, spend the day geocaching there, and then flying back that evening. And so that I can add that state and get that. And then on Wednesday, taking a trip to Spokane, where I've got relatives there. but then continuing on into Idaho, making the short drive over into Montana, and then back. And Thursday, moving operations from the Seattle area up to the northern part of the state, or maybe even into British Columbia. So a big week for me. And I'm telling you, I need a part-time job. So there it is.
No, you just need to charge Bob Billy some more rent, maybe.
Yeah,
I need to make him get the part-time job, but
we just have him get the job.
yeah. Is there a job where you can eat bacon and get paid for it?
Usually at a barbecue restaurant.
There you go. All right. So at this point, I guess I'm going to kind of open it up for Jay and the rest of you guys. If you have questions that you want to ask, we'll let Jay kind of go on, just spill his guts as much as he can, and kind of tell us too, Jay, how is it that as vloggers, how can we help you and Land Sharks and the geocaching travelers? Just tell us how we can help you to promote this. Go.
All right. Thanks, man. Well, I'll start off with your last question because I think that might be the easiest to answer. And the number one way is just through your various social media, drop a reference to the event, the GC code, and the website. We're just in the process of getting it live this week. We're targeting for Friday to have the geowoodstock.com move from Texas over. Well, actually, we're targeting for Thursday, but now it's starting to look like Friday because HQ is having some challenges with the DNS servers. But it's going to move from, and anybody who works in IT totally knows what I mean. It's going to move from Texas because they've wrapped up what they need to do there. So we've been giving them a month to, hey, whatever you guys need to settle things out, you take care of business. So we've got our website already done, ready to go. There's some pages that aren't filled out yet because they're things that we're not there yet. But there's a ton of great information about traveling to BC and all that kind of stuff. That site's going to flip over. But what I did also do is to the Geocaching Network working site about a month ago, I think, right after the announcement, I shared a template for all you guys that has some key tips and tricks in there about how to share out the message about GeoWoodstock 18 in 2020 up in Abbotsford, British Columbia. So yeah, I guess the quick answer to that is use your social media if you want to, be creative with your vlogs because you guys are all crazy creative and can come up with way better ideas than I can. Feel free to use that. Use the graphic. It's there for you guys to use the official logo. There's no restrictions on using the official logo as long as use it respectfully and non-commercially. So I think I trust you guys with that. But that would be the answer to that question. Neil, what else would you like me to address?
I guess share what you can, and I guess having put in the bid, you guys kind of already had a framework of what you're going to do. Are there things like side events that you could share, or is that still kind of being finalized and things like that?
The side events are still being finalized, but what we do know is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday will be loaded with some great side events. What we are doing is we're working with the BC, British Columbia Geocaching Association and the Washington State Geocaching Association. And we're basically going to have a series of events that are going to start in Seattle with the 20th anniversary. Then the Sunday after that, as everybody's well aware, is the Going Ape Mega. And if you haven't researched this, it's actually a fair bit of a drive from Seattle to where Snoqualmie Pass is.
Yeah.
So So check that. And there's not a lot of parking. So they're going to have to figure some stuff out, and we're just waiting to hear what it's going to be. But I know it's going to be awesome. It's probably be the biggest Going Ape event ever, which is super exciting. I don't know if they can get that many people through the tunnel, but it'll be cool. So that's Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the WSGA is going to host events kind of moving north towards the border.
Okay.
And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're going to have events up in the Fraser Valley area. And we're still working out exactly what those are going to be. But we've got some cool ideas that we're going to really make use of some historic areas as well as some fun areas in putting those on. And then, of course, Saturday is the big show. From a vlogger's perspective, one of the things that we're hoping is going to be a lot of fun is we've actually got in our plans what I'm calling a green room for geocaching media to make use of. So it is up above the event. It's a glassed room up above the show floor that's going to be for the use of just going up there, having your editing. If you want to get on the Wi-Fi and do some posting, you're able to do that. And then, come down. We're going to have an area set up down on the main show floor with a backdrop for the event where you guys can do any interviews or filming like that. So you can be down in the middle of the excitement and the noise, or you can be up in the quiet and do some work. So we're going to have those options. We haven't talked with anybody from the GCNW about booths or anything yet. So whoever's in charge of that, feel free to reach out to me and we'll talk.
Yeah, I think right at the moment we're we normally pick a committee to handle that, and I think we're leaning towards our Pacific Northwest vloggers to kind of help organize that part of it over there. I do want to say it's a good idea with the green room. I know last year in Cincinnati we were kind of behind that table, and we're all putting our cameras and things on a picnic table, and there's just random people walking through, and it's it's like, I spent a little bit of money on this camera, and so it's in Texas they're kind of behind the tables there, which was kind of nice, but people were still coming back, hey, I want to talk to you about, and so you've still got people. So it's nice to have a place where we can go and sit down our equipment and not have to worry about somebody walking off with it. So
yeah, that space will be limited access just to what I'm calling geocaching media. I mean, if we have other press or media coming in, obviously they'll get to use this space as well. And I believe some of the local press, newspapers and TV might even be making an appearance from what I've heard so far. So
might there even be Wi-Fi dedicated to the media?
there might even be. We're still working through that. What we're actually looking for are sponsors for the Wi-Fi, because there is Wi-Fi in the building that we're planning to make use of, but it's not free. So
what is can you tell us what the cost is on that?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I can find out and get back to you.
Okay. If you find out the cost, you could probably maybe just post that on our work page.
Sure.
Maybe we can figure out a way to do a GoFundMe or something like that.
Well, and the idea is that whoever we find to sponsor the Wi-Fi, they're going to have their name slapped on the Wi-Fi, right? So
sure.
Because it would be really helpful, for vloggers if we're doing like live streams or just editing and uploading videos, because those can get really large for roaming charges and all that stuff. So that could be helpful.
Yeah. So it looks like right now we're going to have 2 to 3 channels of Wi-Fi. So there's going to be one channel for the merchants, all the vendors down in the main show area who need to get people to pay for stuff. There's going to be another channel that's just sort of open and going to be the most choked bandwidth, and that'll be sort of public access. But we are looking to see if we can get a third channel for exactly that purpose, Jeff, to try and make sure that the folks who need it for kind of what they're doing, not just checking cache pages. Can get a little more controlled access. So yeah, great stuff. And yeah, I'll look into that and I'll post that. I'm also really happy to just answer any questions you guys have about the event.
Cool. Can you kind of go over like any travel restrictions there might be, whether you're flying in to Abbotsford or if you're driving over the border? Any tips or tricks? That would be helpful.
Okay, this sounds really cheeky, but it has to be said, no guns.
What? What?
No,
Sorry,
no,
Carol.
Not even plastic fake ones.
no.
Just don't. No. That's a good way to not come to GeoWoodstock. So yeah, I mean, it sounds cheeky, but it is a thing. So you need to be aware of that. And I know a lot of my really good friends down in Washington State and Oregon and such love their guns, and that's fine. And they also know they just can't bring them when they come to visit me. So it's just the way it is. So that's number one. Number two is make sure your passport's up to date. I believe the rule for US and Canada is it has to have 3 months left on it.
I believe that
Jeff?
was what it was.
Yeah, Jeff, you okay. All right.
So what if you say the passport, like I'm in Michigan, I can cross over. I have an enhanced license.
Yeah.
Will that work?
So those work. I don't think those work for flying, though. I think if you're flying into Canada, you actually need your passport or your Nexus. I don't think you can fly in with the enhanced.
Okay, that's good to know.
What about service dogs coming over the border?
Service dogs. There's no issue with service dogs as long as you've got the papers that they've had their shots.
Okay.
Great question.
All right, Jay, I'm going to ask. Canada just came out with some new drone flying laws.
Don't
And-
even bother bringing it.
Oh, you're killing me, man.
Jeff, what do you think, man?
I mean, you guys have such beautiful scenery up there, especially there in
I
BC. And I was like, maybe I can take the class from Colorado. Is there a way for me to web take this? It just looks like a bunch of hoops to jump through to be able to fly my.
Yeah. You could plan ahead, come to Canada, get your license, and then go back, and then you can bring your drone.
Yeah, what Jeff said. It's ridiculous. Honestly, I love where I live, but every once in a while something gets passed out of Ottawa and the rest of the country, we just shake our heads. Like, really?
Or you could buy one of those really small ones, the under 500 milligram drones. There you go.
Yeah, sorry. That's not great news. It's probably not the answer you wanted to hear. But yeah, honestly, and funny because one of the things that has happened for a lot of GeoWoodstocks lately is the group picture with a drone. Even before the rule was passed, we knew we couldn't do it because we're right beside an airport. So it's just a no-show, no-go anyways. But we're looking at something a little more creative and fun. And I'm not gonna spoil Landshark's Chris's idea and give it away yet. But it's gonna be pretty awesome once he announces how we're gonna do the photo.
A real helicopter.
That was my suggestion. Is like if you want a real drone, take a helicopter.
It's a little pricey, but yeah, it works.
Satellite flyover. When's Google scheduled to come over?
You got to have a little pull for that one, but yeah.
Hey, but Google's headquarters is there in Seattle. Maybe we can talk to HQ and see if they can pull a string or two for us. They're right down the road from them.
Well, they could just take the group shot from a satellite,
Right.
just zoom in on it from a satellite and take the group picture.
Well, apparently you guys have all the answers, so there you go. Awesome. Did you guys have
Anybody else?
Oh.
Anybody else got questions for Jay?
Nope, we're all good.
Nope.
All right. Well, if you're thinking you might come, log your will attend. We're almost at 1,200 will attends. It's pretty exciting. But we're really trying to also be conscious of not pumping the numbers because it's going to be big enough as it is, and we really want to make sure that we're planning accurately or as accurately as you can for it. So like I said, if you think you're going to come, awesome, log your bulletin. We look forward to it. And I'm really excited about being able to welcome all the vloggers to my hometown.
Awesome. Well, thank
You're
you,
gonna
Jay.
have sweet tea though, right?
We're going to have all kinds of iced tea.
Okay, no, but it's gonna be sweet,
But it's
It
got to
usually
have the
comes from-
sugar in there.
and you have to cook the sugar. You have to have the sugar has to be in there, and it has to melt when you put it in hot water. You can't take cold tea and put sugar in it. It does not work.
Yeah,
No,
no, it's not the same.
When you come across the border, you're going to have to ask for unsweetened tea,
There
Oh,
you go.
good,
unsweetened iced tea.
Oh, that's
good.
all right,
Then
good
what's
thing.
what's wrong with the rest of the U.S. then?
I'm
Yeah,
not even
because-
going to go close to answering that question.
I would think that the Canadians would sweeten their tea with maple syrup, but you know,
Well, let's just say maple syrup may make a bit of a presence during the GeoWoodstock.
Oh,
Aunt Jemima's coming.
No, real maple syrup.
Oh.
uh,
Hey,
All right,
exchange rate. So
Yeah.
for those of us that are going to be coming from the U.S. and paying in Canadian dollars now, I know that it'll change between now and then, but currently, what is roughly the exchange rate? And, what kind of cool money can we come back from BC with as souvenirs if we don't spend it all?
Well,
Uh,
I just bought
also,
something that
before
was
you answer that-
$25 US, and it came to about $34 Canadian. So, as of today, that was the rate. 25 US is 34 Canadian-ish.
and before you answer that question, also if you can talk about, and I know Jeff had brought it up for Texas, hit on the point of credit cards and debit cards and how that all works.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about the credit cards and debit cards. Basically, they work pretty much the same as you have there. Depending on your bank, you may want to let them know that you're coming to Canada before you come. Again, I don't know about U.S. banking institutions. Canadian banking institutions generally now have advanced enough systems that you don't get a fraud alert lock on your credit card or your debit card if you go traveling in the US. It's never happened to me. I don't let my bank know anymore when I'm traveling in the US, although I'm in the US every other weekend. So like Jeff, it's they're probably just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But so you might want to just check with your own financial institution just to make sure that that's not going to be a thing. Let them know, yeah, I'm going to be coming to Canada. Don't lock my cards. We do use chip-based payment, the proximity-based payment with the chip. So that's something that you'll find at most places. And if they don't have that, it'll be slide the card in and type in your 4-digit PIN. Pretty much how that works.
There was one other thing. I think I'm still learning this, but the terminology debit card in the US is like a bank card in Canada.
yeah.
So yeah, like we are pretty much debit and credit card. That's it. So if you think you're using a debit card, you might actually be using a bank card. Still trying to work out that kind of difference, but yeah.
Okay.
Cool. And yeah, as for the money, so as Jeff said, the exchange rate, it fluctuates. As a general rule of thumb, it's about $1.30 US for a Canadian. No, $1.30 Canadian for $1 US on average is about, if you're planning ahead, it's going to probably be in around that range unless something dramatic happens. So your dollar goes pretty far up here, that's for sure.
But the prices are just a little higher in some areas as well.
Yeah.
Now, when I go to Canada, I go into Ontario. I go over to that weird area by London or there's somebody over there that we know. But so when we cross over, whether it's Detroit or
Sarnia.
Thank you. I kept wanting to say Syria about that. Anyway, when we cross over, we usually, we're there for the day, so we might change out $20. But for those who do not live close to Canada and don't go on a regular basis or have never been, when you cross the border, there's a building there you can go into and exchange your money there as you come in. You don't have to go somewhere in town and find a bank. There's a place at the border. You cross, you go in, you exchange some money, and then when you're coming back, you go in, change it back, whatever you got out. So it's not like you have to go find a First National Bank of Canada somewhere in the middle of a big town to exchange your money. You can do it right at the border crossing.
Yeah. One thing also to keep in mind is that some locations will have some slight additional fees on exchange rates. So, like for really convenient places to change money, you might pay a little higher premium to exchange your currency. So, plan ahead, look around, and see what kind of other fees there are, and then try to exchange in that place before you come. Generally, a good idea.
Yeah, and I think honestly the best case scenario might be just for any large expenses to do it on the credit card if you can, if you know you'll be able to make sure you get that paid off. Again, because even with the exchange rate that the credit card company charges, you'll still end up ahead. So if that's a convenience for you, it's certainly something to consider.
And if you earn points on the card, then you'll get extra for that too.
Exactly. Now you guys are asking about the cool money. So one thing you will not come home with is Canadian pennies because they don't exist anymore.
Nope.
No pennies for you, but you will have the world famous loonies. So that's $1 Canadian right there. And for $2 Canadian, we actually do have $2 currency. We've got the toonie, which is, 2 loonies. The toonie has a little polar bear on it, and the loony has a loon on it. That's the name.
And they're not special and rare coins. They are everywhere. They're regular currency.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you this much from my experience. The first time I went to Canada and came back, I had, I think, maybe $11 or $12 in the loonies and toonies, and I had forgotten they were like in a pouch someplace, so I had forgotten to exchange those or use them when I was there. And when I got back into Michigan in the middle of the state, well, I'll just take them to the bank. The bank won't take them. If you have the paper or plastic bills, the currency, the Canadian currency, you can exchange those at any bank. But if you have the $1 and $2 coins, they will not exchange those.
Oh,
I think
wow.
it's generally because like the coins, if you have just coins in your hand, it's not going to be worth all that much. So it's just a whole lot of extra weight that they got to deal with. Whereas if you bring U.S. change to Canada, it's like a change up. So you get more Canadian money than the U.S. would give them.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, we are at nearly 9:25, and I was going to end this here about this time so that people can get over to Geocaching Podcast if they want to. So I want to thank everybody, Derek and Jason and Jeff and Jay and Charles and Joseph. A lot of J's in there. And Keneal. So thank you guys for joining me tonight and sharing your thoughts on Texas, and Jay for joining us to let us know what's happening. And thank you everybody that joined us in the live chat. I don't even know who's there because I read it like once or twice because I can't do 2 things at once. But we want to thank you to all the viewers that watch all our channels here on the GCNW. We want to thank you for that, and hopefully we can do this live again here soon. Maybe we can do another inside the geocaching network. But thank you all, and we will see you out on the trail.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Good night.
See ya.
See you later.
It was fun.